Paddy Power's new iPhone app is quicker than Big Sam at a carvery. Download it now. Paddy Power, you're welcome. 18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
Hi there, a warm welcome to the Racing Post Weekend Football Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and in the company of Mark Langdon and Ian Wilkerson, as well as from Paddy Power, Sean O'Sullivan. We will be taking you through the big games of the weekend. There's loads of great TV action, plus looking further down the coupons to find the best value. And first of all, we will review the big issues. The 6 questions of the week are back, and the usual rules apply, lads. You've been assigned 2 questions each, for which you must answer, and then at the end of it, you can choose the question that you wish you'd been asked to answer. Hopefully that's nice and clear. If it's not, it will become it, but we will start with you, Mark Langdon. What was your main conclusion? I really nearly wrote takeout. You have to say takeout these days, but we'll stick with the old school conclusion. What was your main conclusion from Champions League match week 1?
Yeah, I think the main conclusion really was just how lucky Arsenal were maybe to get their point in Paris. I mean, I thought it was an awful 60 minutes for them. They did improve as the match went on, but I really, the PSG should have been out of sight really before Arsenal even got going. I think the other conclusion is to just not ignore the obvious really. You know, when Barcelona, Bayern Munich just absolutely hammering these minnows. I mean, they are going to change the format for 2018-19. The smaller clubs are not happy, but
what's the change?
Well, they're looking to bring in. It's not been verified yet, but the 4 biggest leagues will have 4 teams straight through to the group stage. So that will mean 16 of the teams will be guaranteed. So, I mean, at the moment, for instance, you've got sides like, Roma and Inter or whatever that are not in it that could maybe take the place of, a Legia Warsaw or Rostov or a Celtic.
Mind you, Sporting Lisbon almost pulled a big shock against Real Madrid,
yeah,
didn't
they did. I mean, but Sporting are probably not the kind of team.
Minnows,
no, they're not the kind of team they're looking to kick out. The small teams are not happy, but, I mean, it's up to them to go to Bayern Munich and not be... I mean, Rostov went there and didn't even try to play football. It's like watching an international game between, Germany and San Marino. It was so one-sided.
I saw on Twitter today, Mark, that if you take Bayern Munich, Real Madrid and Barcelona's last 59 home Champions League games, they won 55, drawn 3 and lost 1.
Yeah, Bayern have won their last 13 at home, haven't they? Just broke the record of Manchester United's, and Barcelona are not that far behind them. So, I mean, they are just totally dominant, some of these big teams.
Sean, do you do your conkers when when the home bankers go goal crazy and romp to victory?
Yeah, generally anything would where the big handicaps land. I mean, we wouldn't be laying too much of these guys once they go 3s on or shorter, but it's the ACCAs where you'll do your conkers, and in the handicap markets. Real Madrid did us a small bit of a favour for a while, but them coming back then is really, really bad in terms of like a betting and running book.
Yeah, my son backed him at 8-1. Can you believe that?
Yeah, there you go.
You don't normally get the chance to do that, do you?
See, it's the moment these teams hit around even money, people want to get involved. It makes sense. They want a bit of value for their buck, and if you can get Real when they're such a short price pre at a decent price in running, people like to get involved, and that costs us an awful lot of money. But generally, favourites win by a lot of goals in these Champions League games, and we're losing a lot of money.
He's only 4, the little bastard. He shouldn't be betting. But there you go. What's the latest prices on the Champions League, Sean?
Yeah, there's actually not much change. We didn't really react to too much that went on. I mean, I think most of the results were pretty expected. Barcelona remain our favourites at 11-4. Bayern 4-1. Real Madrid 11-2. I mean, they weren't too impressive, were they? Especially when you take in how the top 2 were, so that could do a little push. Man City are small trim there into 10s from 11s. Juventus 12-1. They only drew, but I think there's more to come from them really once Higuain starts to click a little bit better. Atletico Madrid 14-1. They've been really well backed with us. I mean, they look like specialists in this competition, don't they, now at this stage? And Dortmund, I think, were really the most impressive team from game week 1, really, and they're into 14-1 with us as well. PSG 16s and Arsenal are 20-1.
Okie doke. Wilco, question for you. Newcastle absolutely tonked QPR on Tuesday night. Is it all over in the Championship?
They're looking very good, aren't they? I mean, I know that you put them up against Derby on Saturday, and Mark did them in the paper as well. And yeah, I think Rafa's got them. He's got them going, and I think they could definitely steamroller the league. And around even money, I think they're looking a decent price.
Didn't look brilliant first day, did it, against Fulham? They were pretty poor then, but they've come back into it, and I suppose having more choice up front, Mitrovic even is a help, isn't it?
Mind you, it's not only that, but I mean, the form book has shown that Fulham are a decent team. I mean, I'll come back onto them a bit later in the talk, but I think Fulham are going to be one of the better teams. I'd fancy them to get in the top six this year.
They're doing the same as last year, aren't they? Conceding late goals and.
I think that might come though. I think they might iron that out of their system.
I did my brains on Fulham last season. I'm off them. I'm afraid I'm so off them. Sean, your question: can Lukaku win the Golden Boot after that swashbuckling, power-packed hat-trick against Sunderland on Monday?
Yeah, he can. I mean, it's going to come down to a lot of his consistency. I suppose he is still so young. It's kind of, it's easy to forget, isn't it? He's been around such a long time. But if you can find any bit of consistency, especially with Everton's lack of European competition, you'd imagine you have a massive chance. There's a small chance later on in the year that, obviously with Aguero's injuries, Zlatan's age, that they might be rested slightly for the odd few Premier League games. You might get an extra couple of games out of Lukaku. So we're currently 8-1, which is a little bit shorter than the market. I think there is probably a bit of value. Interestingly, actually talking about Lukaku, we're doing this hot shot jackpot. I think it's been all over the papers the last few days. And him banging in that hat-trick, he only needed to get one of them. Two guys landed the big jackpot, which was actually 325 grand split between them, free to enter completely. So we got cleaned out. One guy had no idea, actually. He was on a plane to Spain and got a phone call, couldn't believe it. We had to get Paddy Power himself to ring him. He still doesn't believe it. And he's 162.5 grand extra once it was split between them.
And
so
that's quite good, that one. It's because it's free to enter. You just have to name a goal scorer in each anytime goal scorer, isn't it?
Yeah, you just have to. There's 8 games picked randomly in the start of the week. We generally leave out the Friday game to give guys more of a chance to get involved, and then maybe the worst game of the week. So the 8 games this week, it's every game apart from Chelsea, Liverpool, and I think the Southampton game's out as well. But I'm telling you, get involved with this. Get your brother, mother, sister, everything.
It sounds winnable, Sean. Some of these competitions, you think, well, there's no point going in for that. You've got absolutely no chance. You've got 28 correct scores and all that sort of thing. But I mean, eight anytime scorers. It sounds like you got half a chance with that, doesn't
Bruce,
it?
if I didn't work for Paddy Power Betfair, I'd be steaming in here. I mean, this thing is absolutely fantastic. Get involved. Look, it's a free roll as it is, but to get 8 of these guys up, it's not crazy. It happens a lot. I mean, get eight of these guys up, and you're looking at. I mean, if you pick the 8 favourites, the thing is, I suppose a lot of people pick them, and it's going to be split. But just throw in one little outlier, not even much of one, and you still have a huge chance here. Like these guys had a lot of the obvious guys last weekend, and they landed it. So I mean, look, it's free to enter. Why not just get involved? I think it's probably the best promo we've ever ran in terms of value for the punter.
Jolly good. Back to hang on a sec. Before we go to Lango's next question, just tell us what price you are Newcastle for the Championship now.
Yeah,
Sean.
we're odds on 5 to 6. I don't think it's that great a bet, but I'll discuss that later when it comes back to my question.
Right, Mark, which 3 teams are going down from the Prem this year? And while you think about it, Sean, give us a quick Paddy Power Premier League relegation show.
Yeah, so at the moment there now, I mean, Hull were the big movers here. Anti-post, punters were just backing Hull to go down. It seemed like an absolute cert. Now, actually, Burnley have taken over them as favouritism in terms of the relegation market, which it's real credit to Mike Phelan there and stuff for actually getting them in that position. Hull now are still actually banding around the 11 to 10 mark. So even despite their great start, they're still just slightly odds again. So it's Burnley 4 to 5, Hull 11 to 10. Sunderland, I think Sunderland are down. They just look in disarray completely. Moyes has had no positive effect there whatsoever. And they're 5 to 4 shots. Tony Pulis is favourite in our sack race. He's actually shorter than Moyes. So, all's not well at West Brom. He could easily jump ship. Then I think they're in huge trouble too. So they're 13 to 5. Watford 16 to 5. Looks kind of short. They were so good against West Ham. Do you think they'd have enough going forward? Swansea 16 to 5. And then Stoke, they're big movers. They were, I think, 8 or 9 to 1 pre-season. They're all the way into 7 to 2 for relegation.
Funny that, I was talking to James Willoughby, the foremost racing judge. He's for some reason, I don't quite know why, he's a Stoke City fan, and he's really worried about it. He says that kind of fighting spirit that has really kind of underpinned the team and allowed them to build on. He said that's kind of not really much in evidence this year, so he's very concerned.
Yeah, in terms of who goes down, I think Hull and Burnley will go down. Hull have made a good start, but they've been quite lucky as well within that. Burnley just don't look to have enough quality. Even on the match stats, they were dominated by Hull last time out. I think it'll be them too. West Brom are the ones that interest me because they've got players that are not very good, and if they sack Tony Pulis and bring in another manager, what can he do differently with that set of players? if they were looking for a new manager, they'd probably be looking for Tony Pulis, wouldn't they? So
absolutely.
but there's clear problems there, no doubt about
Do you
it.
think do you think if they got a new manager, they'd get someone who'd have a bit more of a go?
Maybe.
You know, because do teams really just want to sort of like get 40 points just to stay up, or do people who go and watch them every week, do they want to watch watch a team that's going to have a go at some of these teams, try and create a few chances, and then go down fighting?
I think if they open up too much, then I don't think they've got the quality really to be able to cope. I mean, I'm looking at them and don't see a goal scorer outside of Rondon.
Wasn't Rondon in the bench? Didn't he start on the bench?
Yeah, well, I think he'd been away, hadn't he? I think. But I mean, at least Sunderland have got Defoe. Stoke have got Wilfred Boney. I just don't see what West Brom have got really outside of, like I say, Rondon, who I'm not mad on. So they would be my three to go down at the moment, Bruce.
Mark, Wilco, you're a Charlton fan, so you keep your
ish.
Well, not a fan. You're a Tottenham
observer.
fan. But you live by the valley and you take Moles along every other week.
Yep.
So you've got your finger on the League One pulse. What's been the most surprising aspect of League One so far? Any team, good or bad?
I think at the moment the surprising thing was Sheffield United's poor starts. Perhaps a bit like Newcastle, you know, not that they've been relegated, but they're overwhelming favourites all the time, and they're expected to steamroller the league. They got off to a very slow start, which has been a bit customary, but I think they're going to turn around.
They righted it. I watched them against Gillingham, and I thought they were quite good there. I thought they were pretty decent. They got their just rewards in the end. But do you think they're back on track now, Sheffield United? Put it this way, who would you tip for League One now if you're having another stab?
I think things are looking better at Charlton than they were. I think down the road at Millwall, I think they're going to have a good season as well. I definitely fancy them to get right up. Then probably Sheffield United as well. I think they're the three main things. Also,
Scunthorpe are going well. We tipped Scunthorpe, didn't we?
There are a lot of teams just quite open. Look, you know, the boss's team, Phil Aegis' team, Northampton, they're unbeaten still. You know, they could push on. They're getting get a bit behind them, and perhaps they could do a decent finish and sneak into the playoffs.
Sounds like you need a little bit of a favour coming up on a rota, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
To feel like that. We'll edit that bit out. Sean, latest Paddy Power betting on League One, please.
Yeah, we agree completely there, Wilco. Millwall are actually our favourites at 9-2. We really, really fancy them. Like, it's been an okay start. I expect a little bit more out of them, but I think they'll start to find their feet now. So they're actually our jollies, which is going against the grain a bit of everyone else. Bolton are most people's jollies after their start. We're 6-1 on them, top price. Scunthorpe 6-1, and Bradford I think have been pretty good this year overall. I mean, I've been impressed by a few of their games, especially
very
against
open,
Millwall.
isn't it?
Very open indeed.
Yeah, it's 13-2 Bradford, 7-1 comes Sheffield United, 9-1 Charlton, 14-1 Peterborough. I mean, you could throw your hat over a lot of these teams. It'll be interesting who actually kind of, you know, grabs the bull by the horn, so to speak, in the next few weeks. But Millwall, for me, I think are probably.
Have you seen Bury's shot stats? I mean, they're tearing it up on the shot stats so far. Even though, I mean, I had them down as big strugglers, Sean, early doors.
That's enough for me, Mark. I'd say we're going to slash that 30 into about 16. So
no,
your Bury shot stats go a bit above and beyond my stats, I'm afraid.
I mean, they're just like way ahead at the moment on sort of expected goals. Which I mean,
well, I have noticed their prices they're going off have been a lot shorter than expected, kind of where they were in the league. So I mean, that would definitely weigh something up over.
The lad Mayer is scored some absolute beauty so far that I've been watching on the highlights. That's for sure.
I saw something on Twitter last night that you love, Lango. It's the ultimate hipster thing. It was shot stat hot heat map. A shots heat map. That was it. Yeah.
Shots heat map. Is that,
you know Ed Mallion
that's
from the Mirror. He retweeted it.
Is that just not the expected goals heat map? I think it is.
God knows.
Yeah,
it lost me.
I love it.
For a colourblind viewer, I can't be doing these
expected goals. Expected goal maps are. I love them. Yeah.
If they only translated into actual bets when they tweet these things, it'd be a lot easier.
I just like getting a coupon and putting a one by all the favourites.
One tweeted an expected goals map of the PSG Arsenal game and said, like, if you played that game over with the chances that were created, PSG would win it 88% of the time, which probably shows how lucky Arsenal were.
You were going to say 88-0. It wasn't that one.
No, it was something like it was nearly 4 goals that they had PSG in for, which is ridiculously high. It has to be said. Yeah, I mean that was almost unheard of for a game between two levelish sides.
Good grief. Okay, final question goes to you, Sean O'Sullivan. If you had to be punched in the face by a Premier League footballer, who would you choose?
Jeez, my problem here is a strength contest. Like, there's a lot of guys I'd like to hit because I like to hit them back, but unfortunately they probably end up probably end up taking me.
With this one, you just have to stand still. You can sort of do that thing where you like squirm, like when there's a wasp near, and you just have to take the shot. Who would you choose, do you think?
I think I'd take Januzaj, surely be to God. I mean, in fairness, the man's got absolutely
what a
nothing.
great shout.
That is a really good shout. That is excellent. Okay, right, thanks for that. Right, we'll go through and you can choose one of the questions you weren't asked. Mark, which one do you want to go for?
I'll take that one. Yeah, Claudio Bravo. Given the way that he flapped at, he'd probably miss, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but he does punch. He does try and punch anything, doesn't he?
He does. He'd probably miss. In terms of the League one, it's at the bottom. I mean, there's some as good as there are really good sides in League One. Down at the bottom, Southend have been absolutely dreadful so far this season. Phil Brown's under a lot of pressure there, so I mean they could be a team to watch out for in relegation. As could Walsall, lost all their best players from last season's playoff side, and look, another team to be in trouble. A nice price, actually.
I guess Southend are missing Bentley, aren't they? The goalie who you discovered, basically, who's absolutely tearing it up at Brentford.
He
apparently.
is, yeah. No surprise that somebody like Brentford went for him. The goalkeeper that I saw play earlier on in the season for Southend, in sort of racing terms, about 2 stone worse than Bentley. So, but it's not the only issue they've got. They can't keep clean sheets and they're not very good up front.
Okay, Wilco, your question?
I don't think Lukaku's a good bet for the Golden Boot. I mean, I thought he played well and took his goals well, but he was playing against an awful team. The 2 favourites in the league. I mean, Sean touched upon Ibrahimovic and Aguero, and I think one of them will carry it through.
It won't be Ibrahimovic. His legs will have gone by February, so don't worry about that. Surely it'll be Aguero if he's fit, won't it?
Well, it seems that way, doesn't it?
Okay, let's get stuck into the weekend action. Starting on Friday night. Do love a bit of Friday night football. What a great idea that is. Albeit I'm out tomorrow, so I can't watch it. Chelsea v Liverpool at 8 o'clock. Sean O'Sullivan, before we debate and ruminate on what's going to happen, how do Paddy Power bet?
We're actually taking on Chelsea here, so we're 13-10 Chelsea top price. The draw 12-5, and Liverpool, who I think have been really, really good this year, are 21-10.
Lango, you're nodding.
Yeah, I mean, I think Liverpool have been really good. I mentioned it on last week's postcast before they hammered Leicester, how well they've been playing. Interesting stats on this game. Chelsea have only conceded 7 shots on target and have conceded 4 goals. I mean, so they have been unlucky, but I'm looking to play this one. It is something that I mentioned last week, Liverpool's fast start. So I'm going to go to the half-time, full-time market, go for Liverpool half-time, draw full-time, Liverpool half-time, Chelsea full-time, in the hope that Liverpool continue, to really get after teams early on.
They run out of petrol. They play too fast,
and
don't
then
they?
Hopefully run out of petrol. Chelsea been very good at scoring late goals all season long so far. Conte excellent at changing things off the bench. So that was the angle that I'm looking at there, really. What
price are you there for those 2 flips then?
Yeah, we're 12-1 on Liverpool's leading at half-time, the draw full-time, and then on the complete reverse, Liverpool-Chelsea, it's a 22-1 shot, so a nice price there.
Yeah, like that. Wilco, what have you got for us?
I like Liverpool as well. I mean, they've only failed to score in 2 of their last 11 away games, and they were excellent at Arsenal, played very well at Spurs, seem to raise their game when they're playing against the teams that they're probably going to be battling it out for in the top 4 space. That doesn't mean that I don't like Chelsea. I think they've made a really impressive. They look a different team under Conte, but I just think at the prices, I like Liverpool 21-10. Also, I'd expect quite an open game, so Liverpool to win and both teams to score at 4-1 is quite an attractive price.
Splendid, Sean. What do you think will happen?
Yeah, same shout. Liverpool, as previously mentioned, I expect goals. Like as good as Liverpool are going forward, they're not great at the back. Yeah, I think that Liverpool to win, both teams to score 4-1 seems like a good shout.
Decent turnover expected. I think punters will get into this Friday night thing, won't they?
It's going to be huge. It's the biggest game of the weekend. The rest of the weekend, it's good, but it really peaks on Friday night. It should be great. I mean, Friday night game, it's just fantastic. The concept they brought in here, like every day this week, we've had great football. It's fantastic, really.
It certainly is. Back with the Saturday stuff in just a mo.
Introducing Hot Shot Jackpot, Paddy Power's new free-to-enter competition, available to all customers. Every Premier League week, simply pick 8 anytime goal scorers from 8 selected matches, and you could win £250,000 or more. Excludes in-shop bets. 18+, please gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. Okay, the flip side to having a great game on Friday night is that we've only got one game on Saturday that's live on TV, but it's Everton v Middlesbrough. Everton going for their 2nd successive victory over North East opposition. They are flying high. Game kicks off at 5:30, and Sean, I guess Everton are strayed deep into odds-on territory, haven't they?
Yeah, we were actually 10 to 11, I think 9 or 10 days ago. We went up with this match. They're 8 to 11 now. I mean, they were really, really good in that second half once they took Barkley off. The draw is 27 to 10. And Middlesbrough, who have been really, really popular all year, in most games, Middlesbrough tend to be punted. This game, I think, will see the end of that, but they're 4 to 1 shots.
Mark, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I'm slightly nervous about this one because, it feels a bit trappy. Everton won well on TV. They're on TV again, and you can fall into that. But I actually think that maybe bookmakers haven't caught up with how good Everton could be this season.
And do you think the change of manager has done them the world of good?
I think it definitely has. I mean, they've gone from having a terrible one to quite a good one. I mean, and that has made a huge impact on the team. Obviously, I mean, I think everybody could see that they down tools under Martinez last season. I mean, Everton have outshot the opposition in every game. They've had quite an easy start, but that did include a match against Tottenham when they were very good for an hour. Middlesbrough, I tip them to be the best promoted club. I still think they'll do that. I've not been overly impressed with what I've seen so far. Even against Sunderland when they won, it was a worldie from Stuani, wasn't it? And they were hanging on towards the end. I think Everton will win this one.
I didn't think you'd use worldie. I thought you'd have that down as a bit sort of mainstream.
It is a bit mainstream, yeah. I'm disappointed with myself.
Do it again. Wilco, Everton, Borough.
Yeah, I'd go along with Mark's thoughts on that, really. I mean, even I wouldn't write Borough off, but their only win has come against Sunderland, and that form's hardly been franked. And Everton are going well. They're beating who they've had to play against. So, like Mark said, they've only dropped points against Spurs, and a home draw against Spurs is no disgrace to any team in the Premier League. So I'd expect them to win. And our man Lukaku, he's got to be boosted by his performance on Monday. 9-2 for the first goal. That's a big price, so I'd definitely have him on my hot shot coupon.
Are you going to make it 3 yeses for Everton, Sean?
Yeah, definitely 3 yeses. Just a small point, actually, just a kind of an abstract bet from the game. Karenka at the moment is a 25 to 1 shot out there. We're short and we're 14s to be the first manager sacked. I watched a lot of Middlesbrough last year just as I had them backed, and I mean, the one thing about their football is, I mean, they do pass it around a lot, they're very good, but their penetration isn't too fantastic at all. In that West Brom game where they drew 0-0, they were really, really poor. I don't think it would take much for the fans to get in the back here, and I think Karenka's already walked out once before the Charlton game.
Wobble, didn't
he did. He walked out, and I don't think it would take 3 or 4 weeks of poor results, as long as the other guys hold on to their jobs like Pulis and stuff. I wouldn't be one bit surprised to see him do it again, especially if the fans turn on him a little bit. It's a little bit away yet, but just a 25 to 1, I think it's probably worth a shout.
Interesting shout. Let's get the bets of the week.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, I think I deserve top spot like the bloke who birdied the previous hole. It's my honour. So I'm going to go with Huddersfield, who were not that unlucky. I mean, they went down to Brighton, but apparently did quite well according to our resident Brighton. Do you know we employ a Brighton fan? You know, Coops. Andrew Cooper. We've let a Brighton
How
fan.
have you allowed this to happen?
I have no idea. That did not come up at the interview. Anyway, he's a lovely guy, and he's worth his weight in gold. But he says Brighton weren't that impressive. So I'm going to go with Huddersfield to bounce back against shell-shocked QPR. Mark?
I'm going to go in the Devon derby. Plymouth draw no bet. They've won 5 in a row. I don't think they've been massively impressive, but still more impressive than what Exeter have been. They've lost all 3 at home. They've lost 5 of 7 in total in League Two. They've got a lot of injuries at the moment. They've just signed Ruben Reid from Plymouth, unlikely to start. I mean, this is a Sol Campbell-esque move, according to the Plymouth fans. So it's going to be a real spicy atmosphere at Exeter. I think Plymouth can ride that out and definitely not get beat and hopefully get the win as well.
Don't forget, there's an early kick-off that one as well.
1 p.m. on Saturday. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Early. My bet of the week, I've talked about them briefly. Fulham at Wigan, 9-5. Wigan struggling a little bit. They've lost 4 in a row. Fulham, I've been impressed with. They're only lost in their 7 games. Came at home to Birmingham when they had to play the whole of the second half for 10 men. I think they're a big price. I think they go well.
Sean, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Barnsley. They're 13 to 10 at home to Reading. I mean, they've been the shock team in the championship so far this year, along with Huddersfield. They've been absolutely fantastic. They've so many goals in them, and they're actually top goal scorers in the division with Sam Winall, Tom Bradshaw, Adam Armstrong. Decent squaddies assembled there. So I mean, I think 13 to 10 against Reading seems pretty fair. Yap Stam hasn't made the greatest start there.
Well, let's hope those 4 perform well. I was getting some grief off someone on Twitter. They said your weekend naps are absolutely useless. I obviously played a straight bat and defended team. And I said, well, mine won last week. I know the others were all absolutely useless. So
no, I did quite well last weekend, apart from the best bet, which is
that
slightly
cost me fortunes.
Slightly
Palermo.
Yeah, the problem was Napoli were just way too good for them.
They had that one header in the second half, but apart from that,
no, they couldn't get the ball.
Oh, that was painful. Never mind. Back with 3 live Sunday games.
Introducing Hot Shot Jackpot, Paddy Power's new free-to-enter competition, available to all customers. Every Premier League week, simply pick 8 anytime goal scorers from 8 selected matches, and you could win £250,000 or more. Excludes in-shop bets. 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Ian Wilkerson, and from Paddy Power, Sean O'Sullivan are here to look at not 1, not 2, but 3 live televised Sunday Premier League games. Starting at 12 o'clock, it's the Orns, Watford against Manchester United. Sean O'Sullivan, how do Paddy Power bet?
Yeah, we're 11-2 Watford here, Bruce. 31-10 the draw, and United are 8-15.
We'll stick with you for the match verdict, Sean.
Yeah, Look, I think United will probably win the game. They look really, really short at 8-15 away to Watford. I was keen to take on Watford this year. I backed them for relegation at the start of the season. I think I look like I'm pretty wrong there. That second half against West Ham, they're fantastic. Gallo seems to have taken off from the start of last season where he was absolutely blistering. So, I can't be weighing into United here at 8-15. If I'm looking actually to get an angle on maybe Watford plus a goal, 7-5, get the double chance on side. But it's a tough one for me to really find a bet. Ibrahimovic 3-1 first goal. Even that, there's not too much in it, so it's nearly looking like a no bet game for me, which is highly unlikely. I don't usually do it, but looks like I'm sitting on the fence.
Okay, before Mark gives us his verdict, I'll just get my violin out and let you all realise that Watford's comeback against West Ham on Saturday cost me £12,000.
Oh, sick.
Bastards! Go on, Lango.
I quite fancy Watford here on the double chance. I can't understand why United are so short, and they've drifted. They opened up even shorter. Arsenal went to the Vic a couple of weeks ago and were 3-4. You can't tell me that United are that much better than Arsenal. It just doesn't make
they're any better.
Well, no. If you are backing United, you're paying a real big premium for Mourinho, Ibrahimovic, Pogba, etc. They're playing. We don't know the team he's going to pick. He's taken a strong squad to Rotterdam. I don't think the Thursday game can help them against Feyenoord. Watford have scored 7 times this season. They put in a really good first half against Chelsea and a really good second half against Arsenal. And they are still slightly inconsistent, but they nearly got that point against Chelsea. It was only a really late comeback, and I think had they got a second goal against Arsenal, it could have been a very uncomfortable last 20 minutes or so there. So I just think you just got to let the prices dictate your bet here, and it's opposed Manchester United.
Sean, what price of Watford to avoid defeat?
Yeah, you can get 7-5 double chance. Yeah, I completely agree with that, to be honest.
Sounds decent. Wilco, what do you make of it all?
Oh, well, it's been a tough home start for Watford. Chelsea, Arsenal, and now Man United in their first 3 home games. They've got to be boosted by their second half performance at West Ham on Saturday. As you say, we've talked about United. They've not been any great shakes, hardly boosting Mourinho's standing. In the last 6 Watford home games, both teams have scored, and I'm quite surprised to see that as big as 10-11. So I think that's worth following
for you, Wilco. Okay, jolly good. 2:15, the action continues with Palace versus Stoke. Sean, what are Paddy Power's latest match odds here?
Yeah, Palace have favouritism here being at home. They're even money. 23-10 the draw, and Stoke are 3-1 outsiders here.
And Sean, what do you think will happen?
Yeah, it's hard to get in 2 and 2s about this game. Sorry, I know you're a Palace fan, but it's just not very exciting. I'm looking at the unders as possibly an angle in here. I could see them both probably maybe happily accepting a draw to get some bit of momentum going. But it's prohibitively priced. It's 8-13 on. Possibly a shout would be no goal scored 7-1. I think it could just set up very, very tight here. Yeah, I'd be possibly looking at kind of the draw angle here, which is 23-10.
Mark?
Yeah, I've got draw written down. I just don't want to be back in Palace at that kind of price, really, against a team that's pretty similar to them. I know the home advantage dictates that they're going off around about even money. I mean, Stoke, for all that they've been terrible this season, and they have played 3 of the current top 5: Man City, Tottenham, Everton. They got a draw away at Middlesbrough. So I mean, I'm looking at that as maybe being the way. And I don't fancy Stoke to win the game. I'm hoping after what happened against Tottenham, they'll just sort of dig in and make it difficult for Palace. And I think Palace are better when they can counter-attack teams rather than when teams sit in. So I'll go for a low-scoring draw.
Fair enough. What about you, Wilco?
Well, I'm already fed up with Mark Hughes going on Match of the Day moaning about referees every week. I get the feeling we might not be listening to Mark Hughes on Match of the Day for much longer. Perhaps by Christmas he might be out in the dole queue. Your boys, I think, I fancy them. I think they'll win this game. And Benteke already looks a decent signing. I think 9-2. First goal, get him on your jackpot coupon. I think he'll do the business for you.
I love you, Wilco. I'm not sure that even if Mark Hughes does lose his job, he'll actually form part of a dole queue. But I take your point.
The Labour exchange.
4:30, Spurs v Sunderland. Spurs back at their old home of the Lane, and presumably, despite the fact that they lost to Monaco, Sean, they're going to be pretty short because Sunderland was so awful on Monday.
Yeah, super short. They're 3's on to win the game. Draw 4-1, and Sunderland are 9-1 shots. I mean, it's just hard to see past them. Sunderland are just so poor.
So how would you try and capitalise on this match then, Sean?
I think there's an angle in here. Kane hasn't exactly fired this season so far. But you can back Hong Min Son in the first goal market there. I think it's a decent price. He's a 5-1 shot to get it. I mean, he's playing just behind. He's playing pretty well. I mean, I liked him in Germany as well. He's a really decent player, and I think he can capitalise possibly on Kane's slight lack of form here and notch the first goal at 5-1.
Okay, I didn't think Spurs were that bad last night. I thought it was a very good game. Enjoyed it. What do you think will happen here, Mark?
Yeah, I think Tottenham will win pretty convincingly. I think the Pochettino going on about the lack of passion could maybe be ringing in the ears of some of those Spurs players. I think that they'll be happy to be back at White Hart Lane. It is a better atmosphere than Wembley. Half-time, full-time, double result, Tottenham. An amazing stat here about Sunderland. 2012 was the last time they won a game in August or September, which is just ridiculous.
That's amazing.
27 matches in the Premier League, time after time, they make these slow starts and really put themselves under pressure. There doesn't look to be an awful lot there, albeit that they've had some injuries early on in the campaign. Hammered at Spurs last year, I think it'll be a case of more of the same.
You were at Wembley, Wilco. Was it a bad atmosphere?
No, I thought it was a great atmosphere. It was really good. Really enjoyed it. The only bit I didn't enjoy was queuing
right,
up.
Stop moaning. Bloody hell.
But it was great.
It's not,
it was really good.
It's not like White Hart Lane, the crowd, I think that second half, the crowd would have been sort of, baying for blood and sort of really dragging the team home in the last 20 minutes when it fell a bit flat. That's all I would say.
Did they sing the most boring, annoying song in the world? The slow version of Oh When the Saints?
Just the once.
I hate that. I really can't.
It was quite interesting listening
song.
to people moaning at Lamella and Eriksson, having watched 2 seasons at Charlton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Wilco. Did we get your verdict?
No, we didn't.
Okay.
I'm going to. I think
see you next week. No, go on.
Spurs did play very. Spurs, as you say, I thought they played all right yesterday, but they're looking a bit tired, a bit jaded. I'm going to swim a little bit against the tide, not as far as to suggest that Sunderland can get anything, but they've scored 2 goals in their 2 home games. Danny Rose and Wanyama have scored the goals. They're not looking that particularly sharp up front, so under 2.5 goals, 11-10. I would see Spurs winning 1 or 2-0.
Righty-ho, thank you, chaps. Thanks for your expertise. Thank you for watching. Do please join us next Thursday for the Racing Post Football Postcast, when we will be previewing yet another great weekend that includes on the fixture list Man United v Leicester and also Arsenal v Chelsea. So join us for that.